Hi, Alonza. How are you? I was sitting here trying to figure out how to actually use this thing. I said, I'm doing this at 2 o'clock. I said, I don't know how many people I really expect to be on. You know, it's Good Friday. I think people still need to work, but I was like, wanted to test out and see. I'm doing okay. Um, Busy man, you know, first time gardener in the thick of it, and I have been busy. How's your garden coming along? What zone are you in? Like brassica season is coming to an end for us, so I was like the weather here. Like I have things that are starting to bolt, and I was like I have to go pull out like quite a few things. So I was like I'm ready because I'm ready to get like my peppers and stuff out. Like I have so many pepper plants that just are ready and need to go into the soil. I just don't have room for them. Zone 9, okay. And you're just not putting brassicas out? Well, you guys have had some serious like different like weather for California. How long do you have? So like if you put them out now, how long do you think you have before it's like the season is done for you? Mm. Are your plants that far? Like, are they like pretty much at the point where they just need to fruit and you'll be done? Ah, okay. I haven't tried that yet. I was like, I don't know if I like need to. I know winter sowing is like a big thing, but I just kind of rode with the wave this like first winter. I did like with the beds. I know that you saw them, but I'm gonna be doing that to like quite a few of the beds where I'm building like that hoop structure. So it'll basically give me like the opportunity to change it over from netting to like greenhousing effect. So yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. The growing indoors is just I definitely don't want like one of those big setups like how everyone has. I just don't want my house to become that place. Like I need to be able to separate from everything that's going on, outside. And the fungus gnats were like, oh my God, they were terrible. It's like we had fungus gnats just hanging out. Of course, they like the moisture. So the bathroom, I was like, okay, we have to kill these because I don't particularly care for bugs. And them being just everywhere I am wasn't working. That's pretty cool. So you use the like the milk jug method. Hi, Jones Truth 67. Hey. I got the tool. So I definitely took that advice and I got it. I don't have on the first two beds that I have, I don't have like a proper structure to be able to like seal them to where they're like taut. So in the first 2 days, like I have lizards in the bed, two bees got stuck in there. Of course, like, I have other bugs like breaching the tool because I'm just using the little clips from Home Depot. So I was like, we have to figure something out quick. The lizards, I don't mind so much because I know they'll keep the other pests at bay. But, the bees can't get trapped in there. I was like, I have about three. I need all three of them. How are you? I'm doing okay. I was just telling Awanda, I was like, I've been busy. I was like, first time gardener in the spring is definitely a lot to take in, overwhelming, to say the least. And I am in the thick of it. And of course, everything is not like going according to my personal timeline. So, there's a lot of setbacks, but we're making it happen over here. Where do you get your mesh bags from? I think you told me that. I don't remember right now. I would have to go back through the comments. That you have elevated beds with legs in the process of building a greenhouse. Woohoo! How do you like it? So this is like first time, you're planting your first seeds for like the spring summer, or is it like your first year? Kind of like mine, because I started in August. Amazon, okay. I was like, I've seen the elevated beds. I don't know that I feel like they would work well, like in this particular situation, but I'm sure your back appreciates it. Oh, that's so wonderful. How are you feeling? Because I feel like the spring and summer is in like it's intense. And how big are you going? Like, what is your plan for the garden? So, are you starting what with like just a few things, or are you like going all in? She's like, go big or go home. I was like, I don't blame you. And it's funny because I said I wanted to talk about like some of my, I guess tips, things that I've learned very, very quickly for gardening. And how long has it been? Like 8 months or so. And just things that I've accumulated over that like 8 months that I'm just like, there are some things that, I think we kind of get into this like pit hole of hearing, experienced gardeners say certain things, and then we're like, whatever, you've been doing this, like you showing us all this good stuff, and then you want us to like start small. But that definitely is one of my tips. It's like to start small because it can quickly get overwhelming. And I think, you're a brave heart for starting in the spring for sure. My second recommendation for any new gardener would be to start in the fall. I think there is just, while the crops themselves can be difficult in the sense of the pest presence, it really is more of a hands-off process. Dealing with brassicas, you can drop carrot seeds, do those kinds of things, drop your lettuce and spinach, and just kind of see something to fruition. So it was very, very different, compared to doing like the seed starting and having to transplant and up pot. And, I'll be honest, I did not do a lot of hardening off of my plants. I just, by the time I got done transplanting the first round, because everything happened so quickly, I had just I was like, look, the plant is either going to put its foot down and survive, or it's going to have to try again another time in another life. You say you're mixing some soil. Are you like prepping beds for your summer crops? Mm. Yeah, I like sunlight definitely will help. I find that indoors, I think it just depends. Like for me, I was telling somebody this in the comments too. I keep my house like during the winter time, it is like blazing hot in here. So, my husband's like always complaining that he's burning up. And I'm like, oh, I'm comfortable. We keep it around like 77, 78. So I think that's where I ran into some of my challenges with the seed starting. I basically gave them like the perfect environment to just kind of start and take off. And I wasn't ready for that. Like I was paying attention to the, oh, the seeds take close to a month to germinate and all of that good stuff. And I was like, yeah, no. So seeds started coming up in 7 days and I wasn't ready. And then, because I had did like the that little pan method with very, very shallow soil, I basically, as soon as the seeds came up, I had to like up pot them. And then it was like I was running to get pots. I wasn't ready. I didn't have like the stuff. So I was like, okay, this is a lot. I spent like the first 2 weeks every single day just moving plants. And I was like, okay, we have to figure something else out going into like I guess the next spring summer season, because this is crazy. I don't have any experience with grow lights, but I can imagine, like, I've seen people's setups too, and they seem to be pretty extensive. So, there's caution with that. I know that you can like easily burn the plants, they can easily become leggy if the lighting is not in the right spot. And that's just a lot. I want to focus on growing the food, not learning how to make the perfect setup. So, Howard, what are you guys doing on this like Good Friday? You see, that's how new gardeners, right? This is like, hey, listen, I'm gonna put you out here. Let's have this understanding. Survive. That's all I'm gonna tell you. What issues do you have with herbs? Yeah, so tips 1 and 2 are start small and start in the fall. If I don't know, like how do y'all feel about that? Oh, Wanda, did you start small when you started your garden? I feel like herbs aren't as easy to grow as people say either. They really take a long time to get off the ground. And, little things, it's like little things that you can miss or just not know will just throw off the entire thing. Like I remember before I even started my garden, I did grow herbs and I tried to start thyme from seeds and it was a catastrophe. I wasted a whole pack of seeds, not really understanding why the thyme didn't germinate. And it was like one minor tip that I kind of came across, which was essentially they like to be shaded, during their germination process. And I was just like, I had never seen that before. So this time I did attempt to start them from seed. They did sprout, but because I had them in the bag with my carrots, which I was expecting the carrots to be done before they actually like came up, they kind of got shaded out after they started. So I don't know that they're doing well. I did sow some more seeds like in this little area that I'm creating for like the kitchen herb garden, but those haven't come up yet. But I also didn't really put those in the shade. So we'll see what happens. Oh, how long have you been gardening? That was for Wanda. And what herbs are you growing? Like, what are your preferred herbs? Said I tried peppermint, they died. Basil died. Rosemary died. Oh god, Italian basil. Is it the Genovese or the big leaf basil? I'm growing both. I've always grown like the Genovese, but I've never gotten the plants to grow like prolifically. So I'm hoping that I do better with those this time around. I direct sowed some of those seeds in this new bed that I put down. I'm just now getting like a sprout off of one. Like the big leaf basil is like up. It looks like it's gonna do well. So I'm hoping I at least have that, but I do hope the other ones come up too. I'm doing the mints. I've never been able to successfully start mint from seed either until now. The basil varieties. There's a lot of basil plant types. I learned about quite a few of them. I would say over like the last like 4 months or so. Stuff that I would have never, I guess, looked at, because really, like, when you are growing stuff and you think about the space that you have. When I was back in New York and we were still in an apartment, I grew the herbs, and that was tough too because I didn't know, the difference about indoor seeds versus outdoor seeds or anything like that. But fungus gnats, they were terrible. I don't think the plants had proper lighting. They would survive for a short time, but they always died too. So, I only grew what I knew I would use, or I would go by the starts and then like try to cultivate them, and they would stay for a little bit, but then ultimately they would die. Summer 2021. Lemon balm, lemon time. Okay, I see a theme here. I love lemon too. Is that like one of your favorite flavors? They say if you plant peppermint, garlic, or onions between your vegetable plants, they help keep the insects down. Um, I'm gonna try the garlic. I'm trying the garlic with my pepper plants. Onions, I have my onions for the most part like by themselves, and while nothing has like directly attacked the onions, I have several adult, I think, fungus gnats that have been in there. I've had like even I think it was a Japanese cucumber beetle hanging around. Now I don't know if he was looking for cucumbers or if their secondary is like onions, but that was around the time I had the other netting up, so he couldn't get in. I'm doing a lot of flowers too this year, or this season. Like I've been doing this for a long time. Okay. Yeah, I love lemon. Lemon is like, and it's funny because there was a point I didn't really like it. Like, I have an aunt that loves lemon flavored everything. She would always make these like lemon cakes, and they were so good. But I was like, they were good, but like lemon wasn't my thing. I don't know what happened in like the last 3 to 4 years. I was like on the upside of 35, and everything has to be lemon. Like, even my cleaning stuff is lemon. I don't know. It's just something about the scent now that I'm really drawn to. I did plant lemon balm too. I'm gonna hold off on like the lemon thyme and lemon basil and stuff. I have a lot of herbs, but I have a lot of like tropical, I guess you can kind of say, or Mediterranean like herbs. So things that really need like hot weather. I'm growing like cumin. I'm growing fenugreek. I'm trying to grow culantro. My culantro seeds died, so I don't know if you guys saw the video that I think I just posted around the second seed sowing. All those seeds, none germinated. Oh, let her have it. She'll be upset because them cats will be here permanently. Do you plant flowers, Alwanda? Yeah, I have neighbors like that too. We have a few strays, which is kind of sucky because I have two cats, and okay, I have two cats, and like they see the cats and they'll like come close to like the screen or whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, I don't want them like hanging around because, they have things that they can transmit to one another. And, my cats, they are vaccinated, but like there's I think it's something called like they call it like feline leukemia. And it's basically the equivalent of kind of like, HIV AIDS in humans. So it kind of like dooms the cat to basically a miserable like 3 or 4 years before they like pass away. And you don't necessarily have to get the vaccine if the cat's going to be indoor, but because I do let them go into like the patio, I just don't want them like hanging around like these stray cats hanging around. So I was like, I don't feed them. I don't have a problem with them like, just being around either, but like people do feed them, which is a little bit annoying because that just keeps them coming back. So I saw you said no to the flowers. Is that just because like you don't want to, or is it something that you just haven't ventured into? I saw somebody popped in and popped out. So my third tip, which I'm just going to put out there, I think when planning for sure is being realistic about the space that you have and planting accordingly. Um, I think one of the things I experienced too was just kind of getting way out ahead of the actual space that I had. Like I had the seeds, I was so excited about having the seeds, and we just ended up having a bunch of plants hanging out, waiting for beds to come and, to be able to put them together. And at that point, I didn't even know, like when you're adding things like, black cow or like, composted manure, that it's recommended that you wait 2 to 3 weeks after planting it for it to, actually start working. So it was like, even after I had gotten like the bed up, the first bed, I still had to wait. And I was like, at that point, the plants were like 4 weeks old and ready to go in the ground. Oh, I'm allergic to them too. I'm allergic to cat dust and dander. It's a struggle, but they're worth it. That's why I'm surprised. I'm like, I don't want to, like, I'm like, knock on wood. I don't even have any wood around me. But I have such bad allergies that I'm surprised I'm not like sneezing and sniffling all in live. I'm allergic to like everything, which is terrible. So year round, I get it. Wave petunias. I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't know what those are. Yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all, this is a this is a huge step for me because I can kill some plants. So the fact that my garden is actually surviving and in some places thriving, um, I don't know who I am. I don't know this new person here. I have killed 2 bamboo plants. And if you know anything about bamboo plants, they're next to a cactus. They're like the one of the hardest plants to kill because they virtually need nothing to survive. You said you can't find black cow. Did you say where you were at? Are you in Mississippi? They don't have they don't have black cow at your Home Depot? Me either. Like we need them. She said, I'm the president of the Kill Plant Club. And the funny thing is, the first bamboo plant was one of my boss's plants. This was like years ago. And that was like, he put it on my desk and said, I need you to take care of this for me. I said, I don't think you want me to take care of your plant. And I'll be honest, at that point, that was a time where I really just had no interest in like any green thumbs. But he did not believe me when I told him. I don't know if I overwatered it, if like I went too long without watering it, but for sure, within a few months, that plant was dead. And he was like, "How'd you kill my bamboo plant?" I was like, "I told you, I do not do plants." Okay, I mean that's fair. Everything is not for everybody. I don't like bees either. I was stung by one when I was really small. It hurt, and since then, I've had a hate relationship with bees, and I've only began to accept them because I need them. Like I'm the type of person, I will not mess with the animals if the animals do not mess with me. So they can exist and we can, coexist from a distance if they do not get within my personal space. Oh, Jesus. But the minute they get in my personal space, I'm sorry, I have to separate with nature. Said you don't need bees pollinate your own food. I'm not trying to be out there pollinating every single thing. I was like, I know what it's like. You're in Southern California. It is hot, but it's hot and humid here. So it just gets completely uncomfortable. By 10 o'clock, you cannot be out here, fiddling around. 1 to 2 hours away, that's insane. And they won't deliver? So I went through being realistic about the space you have, right? And I think this kind of loops into like the next one, which is don't overcrowd. I will say, I think one of the biggest mistakes, and I know I've heard people talk about it too, that new gardeners typically do, definitely one that I've made, which was wanting to plant everything and not having the space to do it. So I planted everything, but everything was so close together that nothing really grew to its full potential. So, that is a big thing when it comes to growing food. I'm just trying to learn and understand how a particular plant grows and giving it the room for you to actually observe what's happening. And it took me all the way until I want to say maybe January, February, with like even things such like as lettuces that I planted probably in like the end of October or something like that for me to actually see what the plant could do, because it was so overcrowded that like the plants were struggling the entire time. So, that's one of I think the best pieces of advice that more experienced gardeners give that I think like new gardeners should definitely heed. Don't overcrowd your plants because it's just going to be misery for you, misery for the plant. And, it's frustrating when you put in the work and you aren't able to kind of reap the benefits of your work. Yeah. Delivery is expensive. I'm like, luckily here, which is kind of, I don't know. I live in the suburbs, right? But they're definitely trying to turn it into a mini metropolis. So, everything, it's like very true to South, but in modern form, if that makes sense. Every town has every store. So you literally don't need to leave the town you're in. Like, and everything is within like 10 minutes of your house. But they're also trying to, make it like metropolis like at the same time. So I was like, fortunately, like everything literally is within like 10 minutes of my house. And I'm like, I do pick up. We picking up all those bags of soil, black cow, all that stuff. I leave it to the workers. I'm like, look, I was like, I'll do pickup. They can put it in a trunk and then we can deal with it once we get home. I needed PVC for my greenhouse, so it was going to be 70 for Jesus Christ. That's ridiculous. And the PVC probably costed what, just a few bucks, right? That's crazy. You don't have like local mom and pop shops that offer those services, or like a nursery or anything? Well, I don't know about nurseries selling PVC, but maybe like a local hardware store. I had an issue with these so bad. The bee was bullying you. Did the bee see it that way? Overcrowding them can definitely bring on aphids. I do have a couple of aphids in my beds, and I'm glad, like, I did catch the bulk of it pretty early. I had planted some mustard, and the purpose of the mustard was really to serve as like a trap crop for the collard greens and everything else that was in that bed. So as it started to get warm, the mustard, I just decided, I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and pull this out. I was like, I want to start creating space because I just knew it was going to get like really disgusting here. And I pulled it out, and sure enough, the whole mustard plant was infested with what do you call it? Infested with aphids. Now the good thing is they were not really on my collards. I had maybe like, a handful, but it served its purpose, and now most of them are out. There were a few that got left behind because I planted like turnips before I took them out. So there's like maybe like a handful of them hiding on the leaves. I was gonna say the same thing because I was like, listen, if it's local, I mean, yeah, it's gonna cost more because supply and demand, but I think I'd rather pay $2 more per pipe than $75 in shipping for something that costs, probably $10. So what did I make it through? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think my next one, and this is like, I know people probably think mine is know your zone, right? And I don't mean like the hardiness zone per se. I think it's really important to know your climate, how I guess the ecosystem in your climate works in order to make it work for you. And I think we kind of get caught up in, I'm in zone 6, I'm in zone 8, I'm in zone 10, but not really understanding what that means. So, I'll say one of the examples like I'm thinking of is pest presence, right? We all deal with pest presence, but if someone is living in like a northern climate, it's very unlikely that they're going to have pest presence, throughout their entire like growing season. The pests may come in during the warmer months, but once it starts to get back, cold in those areas, those pests are going to migrate. Anything that's like left there will probably die off because the temperatures are just too cold. In a place like where I live, these pests aren't going anywhere. They are overwintering in the soil. They'll find, some trees or some woods. We have plenty of woods, right? They'll overwinter in these places, which is, one instance where I said I saw a squash bug at the end of March or something like that. And I'm just like, there's no way that this bug just popped out of its little egg. This bug was like adult size. Like if I had in human years, if I had to guess, he was like 40. He's been here for a while. And I was like, he's on my pepper plant. And I said, where did this bug come from? But that's one of the examples. It's more like what's going to work based on the behaviors of the things in your climate, the ecosystem. I'll give another example. For me, we we can say zone 8B runs all the way down the southern coast and up through Washington. Like my climate is not the same as someone that lives in Washington who's very dry and their summers at max get to 70 degrees. I'm here where yes, my temperature is at highest maybe around like 85 to like 87 or something, but the humidity is it is a monster. I was like, the other thing is, you might have somebody in zone 8B down at what, closer to like Charleston, South Carolina, and they might be further inland. I'm literally a mile off the beach. So something else that I have to consider, right, is that the winds, like we get coastal winds. I have a new Meyer lemon tree because of our winds here, So I was like, I think knowing your climate is really important too. Not supply and demand, but there are restrictions that help keep mom and pop stores in business. Oh, I like that. Like what? I think that's good. Because I think one of the things we're seeing, and like not to get too far like in the weeds with this stuff, but a lot of like the larger stores that come into smaller communities, they'll come in, push those stores out of business, and then when they decide to leave, now people are kind of like in a bind because they don't have stores that service the needs of that community. So I actually think that's pretty cool. So I just love the organization in your garden. My daughter is coming over tomorrow to help me. Organization is very important. I agree. I will say like some of it does have to do with the fact that like I live in a community where aesthetic is one of the things that is kind of written in our bylaws. But I think it's important for me. One, I don't function well like in complete disorganization. But two, I think it makes it worse. Like as somebody that is afraid of bugs, having stuff kind of like all over, that's going to contribute to having like more bugs around me. That's just not going to work for me. So I think that's key in terms of just one, keeping things as clean as possible, but two, just making sure for my own sanity that like, I'm not creating a situation for myself that I don't even want to be in. And then, of course, just consideration for my neighbors and having to like look at it. We want to make sure that like we're not disrupting the environment for everyone else either. So the biggest pests here are mosquitoes, bees, and stuff that looks like they're on steroids. Huge. I'm sure. I was like, and you guys have a lot of woods, right? So they basically have a free for all to get as big as they want to. So I'm scared too. My husband thinks I'm hysterical because it was too big. I yell for help. Oh God, that is so me. I was like, sometimes if I see them, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going over there. I'll just have him come and I'm like, hey, I need your help with something. And I'll be like, I need you to like even the bees, the poor baby bees. I felt so bad for them, but I said, there's no way. I said they will not sting me. I was like, it's not gonna work because I don't want them to think I trapped them in there. So I made him go outside. I was gonna let them out. And then I was like, of course, when he was done, I said, so did they try to attack you? he said no. He said the bumblebee was like flying frantically and like flew close to him. But he said he thinks that has more to do with their agility and flying than anything else. And I was like, no wonder I'm always out here ducking like out of nowhere because I'm about to get my head taken off because of daggone bumblebees. Farmland and woods. Yep. I was like, they're tearing all of our farm, like not farmland, but our like wooded areas down because they're just like building so much, I was like, one of the reasons I moved here or I wanted to move here was because of the like scenery. It's all gone now. So they spray so much here. I think we have Franken bugs. What is that? I'm gonna have to look that up. What is a Franken bug? I've never heard of that. Oh, Wanda, we lost you. Oh my god! I hope I don't regret looking this up. Why is it coming up as a car? Is that a thing? A cross between Frankenstein and oh, okay. Why would it come up as a car? That's weird. Yeah, I'm a curious individual. So I was like, I don't know if you guys have kind of noticed. I do a lot of research. I need like I'm an information hoarder. I need to know what's going on. You know, I need to know the facts, the science, the experience, all of that good stuff. I feel like that, like what you're describing though, is that daggone squash bug that I saw. Because that thing was a monster. That is something I would describe as a cross between Frankenstein and a bug. Ooh, grow bag. So I think I did find a solution, which I was like, I don't know why I didn't think about this either, because I literally use them for like my plastic pots. But I'm gonna get a couple of like individual saucers. Hopefully, I can find some big enough for the grow bags to sit in, so that way I can take and this is not for watering, but more so for separating the bag from the ground. But it should help with retaining some of the water because like the water can pool out into the saucer pan and the bag can just kind of soak it back up. So I don't know if that's enough to stand up to our summers, but I'm gonna try it. Agreed. I think it's too like it's good, like we learn a lot of stuff, in our like younger years, I'll say. Cuz I'm not like old, but I'm not young either. And I say old, I'm not older. I don't consider myself like old enough to be possessing like powerful wisdom of all kinds, but I definitely take in information differently. I feel like, you learn things as you grow up, things that you probably, have heard before in passing or that didn't really matter, but at the moment to you. And, I think it's good to relearn because you definitely process things differently as you age and have more wisdom. I do. I actually do use it. The landscape fabric. The problem is with good landscape fabric, if it's woven well, it allows the water to pass through, and ultimately that means like bugs will congregate, and that's what's happening. Like my slugs are an issue for me. Uh, so I still need something to be able to create that separation. I like that idea. I want something like that for my strawberry. Like I'm trying to create a level, yeah, a tiered kind of like setup on the patio side that I'm keeping like the herbs and right now where I'm like strawberries and stuff. So I definitely want something like that. I saw this like new concoction on Instagram too, and it's a nice little setup. I forget the name of what it's called. Harvey, I think. Have you guys heard of that? But they want like $300 for that thing, and I'm just like, really? I can have my husband build something. Now, if they want to send it, that's a different story. Shameless plugs, always accepted around here. But I like that. I love that kind of like tiered staircase setup. So, what is my next tip? Experimentation is everything. I think it's important to experiment when it comes to gardening. And I say that because I think it's like, of course, no, what do they say? No one size fits all, right? Um, this is something I think I've come into realization probably over like the last couple of months. And we get like information, we get, general information about plants and, how they thrive and, what's best for this plant, what will work for this one. And what I found is I think seed packets are written based on optimal conditions. And what are the optimal conditions? No one ever really tells you. So I'll take my experience with beets. Like, I hear all the time, like, people talk about struggling to grow spinach and beets. Two things I've been able to grow successfully as a new gardener, just planting them. And I think the bigger lesson of the two is definitely the beets. I follow like the advice of several people that said, oh, beets love shade. You can plant them under like other plants and they'll do just fine. And I did that the first, I think, 2 or 3 times I planted them, and all of my plants died. What I ended up doing when I grew them successfully was I put them in their own container, allowed them to kind of be subject to the environment that they need, which I find like once they start rooting, they need a lot of moisture. They need to be fed frequently. And obviously, the thinning does help so that you can grow bigger beets, but they actually do like to be grown close together. So I think my lesson with that was, oh, and the big one, which is beets do not take as long as any seed packet ever says. They take way longer. I don't know what it is. So I think there is like a little misinformation there, but that was basically the time that like things started to work for me, when I did something outside of what everybody else was saying to do. And I think going forward, like what I learned from that is I think it's important to obviously take into consideration what people have put into practice and have experienced, time and time again, to where it's become, science at this point. But if something is not working for you, and that kind of goes back to like the climate piece of it, where it's like that may be how beets grow in most locations, but maybe in this particular location, like my garden setup, where I'm literally getting full sun for most of the day, that probably is not going to work regardless. I found that the beets grow in the full sun better than they do in the shade. That's my opinion. Um, but maybe my climate, right where I'm at, doesn't work in that way. So I think experimentation is important. Take the advice, but also still be open to trying things. Cinder bricks and wood as though I'm building bleachers. Nice. That's one of the things I actually love, like the creativity of it. And I think, I've made some mistakes for sure, trying to kind of go with the aesthetic instead of like doing, I guess, what made sense in some instances. But I think getting creative is definitely the best way to go. And I think at some point, it kind of forces you to get creative because there's so much stuff that you end up needing to make a garden happen that, it's like, to be fiscally like responsible, you kind of got to think outside of the box just a little bit. You guys are getting hit with rain too. And well, I know but tornadoes not rain. I've heard people saying it's been raining like a lot in the like lower south. We don't get a lot of rain here, like during this time. Like it'll rain. We get rain like Florida gets rain, where it's like it'll rain for maybe 20 minutes and then it'll stop. Our rainy season is during hurricane season. So August, which is when I expect a lot of my like summer plants to fail. That's where it's like we're getting torrential rain and downpour from August to probably about October. How do y'all feel about the tips so far? Like anything you can attest to? Rain. I feel so bad for California. And not to say like, listen, nature has a way of correcting some things, right? I know you guys are big on like getting droughts and stuff, but sometimes Mother Nature comes in and gets out ahead of a need. Like I get that it's hi Nikki. I get that it's not ideal because it's not what you're used to, but who's to say that wasn't much needed ahead of like what's to come? So yes, the only thing is now everything is so green, but it makes gardening difficult. Yeah, I don't think anybody likes to be out in like slushy rain or mud for that matter. I was like, I'm working out trying to a watering solution now for the beds because like I can't tell like how well the beds are watered until the soil around it becomes muddy. And I don't like that like sloshing around. So like of course we have sandy soil here, but like all of this land and stuff was built on like swamp land. So it gets sloshy in a way of like muddy and like just really gross. So I don't want that. I'm trying to find a solution. I think I'm gonna look into like Oyas and hope that that resolves some of the issue with like the overwatering. How are you doing? Yeah, I learned that quickly. I'm learning that still, but definitely learned that quickly. I was like the seed packet. I also think that they are really built more for like farmland. Like they give you directions as though you're in a farm. Hang on one second. All right, just had a little cough there. You said you learned you don't like peat pots. I've never tried them. They looked interesting, especially like the sterile ones. But I was like, I think I would rather just buy like the seed starting mix or either just like make my own with the peat moss. It's really not that hard to do. I was like, and you can sterilize the peat moss with like boiling water or hydrogen peroxide. How long have you been gardening, Nikki? Yeah, and I'm also just not looking for more stuff to buy. At this point, I'm trying to like figure out how I can be as effective as possible without towing the line because I am over it. This garden build has been definite investment. I feel like they would like kind of present the same issue that I had when I initially did like the little pan thing with the shallow soil, where it's like how much time do you actually have when the plant like comes up? before you have to transplant it. Like, does it make sense? What is happening outside? So the last one was experimentation is everything, right? Since 2020. You and me both, girl. I was doing herbs, and them herbs was getting the best of me. I told them that. Oh God. I was like, I could only do herbs at that point. I probably could have done more, but I didn't have a green thumb. I did herbs. I did the herbs that I tended to cook with most. But beyond that, yeah, gardening was not a thing I even thought about. I knew I wanted to do it at some point, but I never imagined even doing it on this scale. And now I'm like hoping that, we'll end up somewhere where we can do a little bit more. I was like, I have some things I want to do and, some ways that I want to help our economy here. So tip number 8 is expect to fail. I was like, I think one of the things, and I was like, I don't know if I show enough of it. Like, I don't know if I show enough of my failures online. But I definitely have some humbling gardening moments for sure. And, I get like people comment and it's like, hey, oh, everything looks great. And that, like, sometimes I feel like it sets up a false sense of like success, where it's like, everything is so green, or they'll go like, where do you live at? Like, everything is so green. I'm like, yeah, it's green, but like, it's been a struggle to get here. And I've definitely had some serious lessons learned, around gardening, even in the few months that I've been doing it. So I think having the right expectation is important. You know, it's kind of how they say, I don't know, I want to say it's maybe like the business world. It's like fail early and fail often, right? So that when you get into having larger, gardens, or where you have more variety, then you know how to manage those plants, and being able to manage different plants and different plant needs at all at the same time. So, I would definitely say expect to fail. I think it's easy to fall in that trap of, I'm new, I'm doing this, I'm finding success, and, everything's going great. And then you kind of get that, like, you run into that wall and you're like, oh my God, what happened? What am I doing wrong? And I don't think people, and I think it's human nature, right? We all kind of set out to win every time we do something, that we forget about, failing, but failing forward in a sense. So I started out planting flowers for their beautification and stepped up to tomatoes and peppers. Couldn't tell me nothing. I know they couldn't. And if you started out with flowers, they shouldn't. Because I feel like flowers are a completely different beast. I was like, what do they call it? Tiptoeing? I'm tiptoeing into flowers because it seems like a lot of them are like invasive. It's like you have them, then they die, but apparently they're coming back. It's flowers are a lot. So I'm spending less money each season because I'm learning that some of the things I was buying was not really needed. Exactly. Says some YouTubers will get you caught up. Nope. I'd be like, oh, that's nice. Like, I get it, if it's something that you want and you can take advantage of a discount and they have one or something like that, absolutely. I definitely believe in supporting like creators in that way. Or, if you just want to, like, that's fine. But like, just selling everything under the sun, absolutely not. Said if I count each peat pot that didn't germinate, I have failed over 70 times. See, we call it perseverance. That I try to keep things super simple. I say that, but everybody says I'm not simple. I like to keep things simple. I think a lot of things in life are simple and can be simple, but let the world tell it. My husband included, I'm complicated. Said I have no problem with flowers. It's the food. It's different. Really? Like what? Because child, these flowers are getting the best of me. I'm doing fine with food. I took, I kill plants. So please no, I went to the big box stores to purchase stars. I wasn't even growing them from seed yet. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think any like sane person like relies on starts just a little bit. Sometimes you have to also test like, okay, the start is here. Like maybe it'll help you test the soil. Like if the start was doing well, and then suddenly you put it in the ground and it dies, like that might be an indicator that something else is going on as to why you might not be successful with something. Sometimes seeds just take too long. Like I'm having that experience now with my strawberries. I started, which I did start them a little early. I will say that I was a little overzealous, but my strawberry seeds that I started 2 months ago, I'm pretty certain out of about maybe 70 seeds or so, 2 of them are surviving and actually turning into something. So if I was relying solely on that, I absolutely would not have strawberries this year, probably not even next. So I went ahead and went and purchased a start recently, even after planting some bare root strawberries. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I get a strawberry this year. If I get one, I'll be happy. So the ninth one, and I think this is important. I know for many of us, we probably started out the same way. This probably was an our idea effort, and then everybody else got dragged into it. But I do think it's like, don't go it alone, is what I wrote down. Leveraging, like, and this is kind of what we were just talking about, right? Leveraging your local nurseries, retail stores, and helping hands from people that you live with and around you. I think that is critically important to not just maintaining like the mental component and peace that the garden is supposed to bring, but I think the more the people around you help and learn, the more it makes sense, as to why you're doing it. Like my husband was completely opposed to doing this when I first started. And of course, everything is always about timing. Could the timing have been better? Absolutely. But is there ever going to be the best time to do it? Probably not. So, I just was like thinking about it. I thought about it for a good month. And when I say the amount of gardening information I consumed between videos and reading, I probably did about a good 200 to 250 like study hours on gardening, different types of plants, beds versus in ground, and all this other like craziness. And I sat on it and I was like, you know what, we need to do this. I think the tipping point for me was when like the grocery prices really started skyrocketing, and I was just like, something has to give. I was like, because at this rate, we're paying $20 for a dozen of eggs. And I said, this is not making sense, so I kind of jumped in, and he was just like, we should have waited. And, at first it was just me. I would go out there, do what I had to do. But then as I started bringing in like the food, and I was like, oh, we got our first this. And he's like, okay. So then I made him actually go out there with me. I started him off by like harvesting. And then, I let him participate in the harvest. He was asking questions, I would explain it to him. And he did sit through some of the garden videos with me. It got to the point where it was like, literally, if the TV was on, if anything was on, it was a garden video. And then he started helping me build and plan and transfer. So, now he's in it, and now he's like reaping the benefits, as the harvests have picked up And he's like, yeah, this is pretty cool. But I think that's super important. So the flowers I plant and forget them, they grow. The food, I don't know. It just might be a combination of things, me, soil, weather, but I think it'll be better when the weather gets better. Yeah, I think rain can do it too. Like too much of any one thing is not a good thing, right? So rain, too much rain, way too much heat. It definitely has to be a good balance. Me to study, then look at my current environment, make decisions that would fit me. That's how you have to do it, you know. And it's taken me a long time to get there, get to this place. Trust me, because excuse me, I'm a risk taker. So usually I'm just like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Like let's try it. If it doesn't work, you know, then at least we know we can say we did it. TX Lala, hi Lala. I feel like there's some other people in here not saying nothing. Where y'all at? Say hi. I know you're supposed to say hello when you enter the room. um, but yeah, you know, and with something like this, especially when you're talking about taking up your space and you know finances and all that kind of stuff, you definitely want to you know, make sure that the decision is fitting. So I just bought some plums for my mom, 89 cents each. Jesus Christ. And I say, see, I feel like food, I'm torn on this issue, right? Because I do feel like food needs to be way more accessible than it is. I feel like that's kind of like a basic minimum human right, you know, but at the same time, it's like you got to recognize that the agricultural industry, just like any other industry, is kind of succumbing to all of the natural pressures of workforce, labor, increased wages, and of course, whatever other issues as far as like supply chain and seeds and all these other things. So it's like you also want people to have living wages, right? And I don't think like agriculture is any different. So it's like that battle of how much do you pay to support, you know, people with increased cost of living versus where it kind of gets out of hand for everybody and nobody's really like everybody's basically feeling the crunch. She said my husband's not interested in gardening, but he will gobble up several pieces of watermelon after harvest. I was like, somebody said something similar to that too, and I was like, you know, I said I would tell him, I'm like, you must not be hungry then. You don't want to help. Like this is your food too. Seven watching, please hit the like button. Come on now, Nikki. Tell them, girl. This is my first live. This is not an easy thing to do. Now I'm an extrovert, so I don't have an issue socializing per se. But even you know when you're putting yourself out on like a stage like this, it's not easy. I cannot wait to grow these melons though. She said those homegrown watermelons proved to me it was all worth it. I hope I have the same sentiment. I'm sure I've seen some juicy looking ones online. Oh man, I was like, I just cannot wait. That is probably the single most thing I'm excited about growing this year. Hi, host and chat. Hi, analytic gardener in the building, y'all. Oh, she said I was gonna speak. Uh-huh. Where that Southern hospitality at, girl? So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm working in my garden. I'm listening. Oh, Wanda, you're fine. She's been here with me from the very beginning. It's not easy. And I said, yeah, I see some of these lives, like, and I promise I'm not keeping y'all here for 2 hours, but I don't see how to do it 2 or 3 hours just on. That's a lot. That's a lot of energy. I was like, I can't wait to grow my melons. I hope I have the same experience. Somebody was talking about growing melons. I forget. Oh, was it? Oh, that was on Brooks Live. Somebody said the melons were, what did they say? They tasted like water or something like that. That cracked me up. Did we pull you out them bushes? She said I'm from the low country. I'm in the low country too. Now I'm not from the low country, but I'm in the low country. That's funny. Did we pull you out the bushes? But yeah, so don't go it alone. I definitely think like solicit the support of the people around you. And listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with buying starts. I think it can get pretty expensive. I've noticed that the plants have gone up in price in the last couple of years. So I think, evaluating what makes sense to buy as a start versus like seed starting is definitely something to consider. But she said, I was here for 10 seconds and got cold. I'm paying attention. Oh, I have good vision. She said, I was here for 10 seconds and got called out. That's right. And I was raised by the elders. You be walking up in no room and not saying hello. Even if it is a public forum. But my last tip, y'all. So I think this is something that you can easily kind of get roped up into being online. And I say my tip is enjoy your experience, right? We get kind of caught up in the hype of watching other people and seeing what everybody's doing, which is very much fun. I enjoy it for sure. But we kind of get looped in their experience and try to make their experience our experience rather than enjoying our own experience. So I think if this might be the third, one, if I had to kind of count out, of course, start small, don't overcrowd, and then enjoy your own experience. And I've heard, quite a few people talk about it where it's like you see all these things, you see these people growing all these new things, and you just want to try everything. And it really is that kind of like FOMO spirit, focus on you. Start with the things you think you're going to eat. See how you like growing them. Get used to what it really takes to grow them. I'm still in a mental struggle with seeing all the bugs on my stuff and then having to do all the cleanup myself and, the produce not coming in all pretty all the time and unscathed, how we see it in the supermarket. That is a real mental shift, especially if you are not someone that has grown up in this type of environment, i.e. me. I'm a city girl to the core, and it's just like these are not things we had to contend with because everything was made available to us. So I think enjoying your experience, whatever you want to gain out of it, whether it is just learning the information, whether it's just having a space that you can call your own to bring some mental clarity. Oh no, girl, we are not. Just relishing in the fact that you put in the effort to do something and you saw it to fruition and now you can kind of reap that benefit. So, definitely stay away from that kind of FOMO element that can easily become a thing on social media. He said, I still buy starts. I'm also growing more from seed than I ever have. That's good. My husband's ready to get rid of all my seeds. He's like, where are all these seeds going? What are you doing with these seeds? I was like, this is the food. And then every time I tell him, I'm like, oh, I don't need no more seeds. I come with some new seeds. Right. We just need to be ourselves. I concur. So true. I love watching everyone in the community, but I have to go at my own pace. Can't always keep up. And you can't, because everybody literally is creating content these days. So You just kind of gotta support where you can. Like you're always gonna have people that you gravitate towards watching like all the time. But I think it is important, especially like just in our community, that show of support is really important. And it's nice to actually see. I had no idea. Like, for one, just kind of seeing like people that look like me, like gardening, and that I can learn from, but also just to be able to share like in that space too. I'm trying to read y'all comments too. Come on, comments moving too quick. Bugs are a good protein. Child, nigga, you ain't on with that one, girl. I don't need extra protein in my diet. I eat fish 2 to 3 times a week. And I eat beans. Oh gosh. So I just said I may buy a couple of pepper stars today, supplement my late pepper star. Peppers are something else. So if I have to eat bugs, that's protein I will never have. I don't know. I'm gonna say never, right? And the only reason I say that, if you have y'all ever seen, what is the name of the show? Naked and Afraid? Is that the name of it? Where it's like people kind of take on the wilderness challenge. If that's the only thing you got to eat, you might eat it. It's either that or starve and die. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about the green peppers. But I don't even know. Do they even sell green pepper starts? I haven't seen those. That's what I'm gonna probably have to get from like a nursery. Because these green peppers, I should have went with the Emerald Giant seeds. Those were the seeds I originally wanted. I ended up getting the ones they had at Home Depot. They're the green leaders. The germination rate on those are terrible. Said my garden doesn't know Broke Farmer, it only knows me. Oh god. Oh, Naked and Afraid, Nikki. That show would be creeping me out. Oof. I was like, they be roasting like the snakes and the bugs and but it's like so intriguing because it's just like, are they gonna make it? And then the people that I guess you least expect to make it, they always make it. And then the ones that be talking all the stuff, they always be out within like 3 days. They won't be at the top of my list to eat either. I was like, and that's the thing. Some people call them a delicacy. It took some chocolate covered crickets and grasshoppers. Like, girl, if you don't go somewhere. Bell pepper starts, yes. So I'm afraid of bugs. Why would I eat them? I'm afraid of them too. But hey, listen, when it's a matter of life or death, you just never know what you'll be up for doing. And even to be vegan, you can't be vegan in the wilderness all the time because some of those plants are poisonous. Some of those plants are poisonous. Oh, sorry, y'all. I mean to yell, but she said it's the pop for me. The juicy grubs. Now I'm not eating no grub. I don't care what the situation. Oh, that just made my skin crawl. Nikki said her bugs will be well done because we got to have a little crunch and crackle around here. Treat it like bacon. Treat it like bacon. It need to be crispy when I bite into it. She said I wanted meat chicken, so I watched the processing video. I passed out. Girl, y'all can have that. Everybody keep asking me like, "Oh, you don't want chickens?" No. I said when I get to that stage, God willing, I'm gonna have to have like a farm manager or something. Somebody that can come tend to the chickens and the animals because I'm not cut out for that. Oh god. Oof. Oh gosh. But those were my 10 tips. So I don't know if y'all, hi David. I was like, I don't know if y'all all caught it, but I guess I can leave them like in a description box or something when I post a live. But that's just, new gardener experience and kind of like confirming, some of the things we hear on a regular basis from experienced gardeners and, some of the things that we probably um, don't even think about, just as someone wanting to get the seed sown. But I will say, and I'm announcing it here, I was going to do it like in a video. I am going to be doing a 500 sub seed share giveaway. So I need y'all to help me get to 500. Please, 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 because I don't know what YouTube is doing with my channel right now, but they got me in a chokehold. And it was like, I wanted to do this when I had got to like 100, but then like the numbers took off and it just kept going. And now it's like I'm at a standstill. I don't know what's up with that, but I would love to get there, help a couple of people get their gardens started. I did make a community post a while back. It was a riddle about one of the plants that I'm getting. I actually have it now. So that is one way to enter the giveaway, to respond to that community. Oh, to respond to that community post with the answer that you think it is. That was a while ago. It's about a fruit tree. The other way will be, if you watch the live, you can comment on here. I'll probably post it in another video, which, people can comment on that one too. And if you would like to or feel so inclined, you can follow me on Instagram. For any follows on Instagram, that will be an automatic entry. She said, oh, my Jones, you can do it. Said, I'm learning more about wild edibles this year. What we tend to call weeds are actually here to keep us healthy. I haven't gotten that far in my learning. What's up, David? I was like, we're going to be off of this thing soon. I said, I promise I'm not keeping everybody for 2 hours. But everything is good here. Just busy, man. As I'm sure everybody is. So when I don't eat meat, so if I was starving and there was a chicken around, I'd be slinging chicken necks from here to there. Oh God. Slinging to the left and slinging to the right. Y'all are crazy. You never know until you have to do it. Like, I don't eat red meat, but listen here. If I have to go back, if I have to backtrack, I know how to cook a good steak. I can like see Nikki throwing the chicken around though. That's funny. Hi, Betsy. Betsy is one of my early subs, y'all. She be really helping me out with my videos, giving some good tips as well. Uh-oh, we have a visitor. Hi, Muffin. My cats always have to make an appearance. I've never done it before, but I feel like that's what I would need to do. Listen here, I will scream later. I will scream later. Oh God. What's up, bro? She said Nikki will be slinging young and tender. Better get them before they can get you. I can tell you that much. You ain't be slinging no grown chickens around. Right, I'm with Jones. I'll cook them. You do the kill, I'll cook them. Just make sure ain't no heads attached when you bring it in. Oh my God. Y'all are funny. See, and this is why I like lives. Like, it gives you a chance to just kind of see everybody in their like true element. Entertaining, because we have fun over here. I say it in every video. That's right. Let's have some fun. She said I will beat a chicken down. Because these hands are made for everybody. Nikki said these hands are made for everybody. Yes, he is in the building, Elwanda. He heard me talk about his watermelons. Somebody calling him out on his watermelons, and he said, "Let me jump on here." Nikki said her hands are rated E. They for everybody. Oh God. What? She said she saw a video where the chicken attacked the child, and the next scene was a plate of fried chicken. What video was this? Oh, don't let them edits fool you. Yeah, bro, you were talking about somebody said they were talking crap about your watermelons on your live. And they were like, them watermelons wasn't sweet or something like that. It tastes like water, straight water. Because we were talking about growing melons. Is it Lala? She's still on here? You said haters. Oh God. She said that the watermelons was sweet. She said homegrown definitely is worth the effort. So I said I hope so. Who was hating on you? That's what I want to know. Why they was hating on you? Listen, I didn't say it. She said, "Yikes!" Not talking about trash about the melons. I didn't say it. I just heard it. I just said I hope my watermelons don't come out like full of water. And I said I referenced remember like hearing that on the live. I have a PO box listed in my description box of all videos, Betsy. Melons in general are delicious. The only melons I don't like are cantaloupe. Dyed fried. Oh God. Said I got the upper hand and the hot oil. Put it me if you want to. What am I growing this year? Oh man. Melon wise, you mean? I have Crimson Sweets, Sugar Babies, a Petite Yellow. I'm doing Torpedo Melon, Brilliant Melon, and Rocky Ford. Everything. You do not want me to go through no list of everything I'm growing on here. You be watching my videos, Brooke? I feel like you would know. Nah, I have I'm growing everything. "100 Gardens of Rochester." Hello. Hey. What kind of artist, Betsy? Oh, thank you. Because we just be trying to figure stuff out here. That's all, and have fun while doing it. This is definitely a new world for me. I was telling them, I said I did not grow up around agriculture of any kind. I'm a city girl, and you know, this is definitely different. So I'm getting used to. Huge mindset shift. But I was like, for those of y'all that are new, that came in like a little bit after, I was just telling everybody I'm doing a 500 sub seed share giveaway. So I'll probably announce it in like another video, but just putting the word out there. I have a post on my community page. It's like a little riddle. I thought it was cute and funny about one of the fruit trees that I'm planting. So if you guess the right answer on that post, automatic entry. You can gain entry by following me on Instagram. If you just want some seeds, some extra seeds, maybe you want to spend more money, that's all good. And then comment on this live, leave me a shout out or something, and let me know, why you watch the channel, or, maybe why you started your garden. Thank you. Thank you. So most of us haven't. I'm happy so many people are trying to learn. Me too. I was like, I'm really excited. I've been really excited about seeing just the sheer number of people like kind of taking control of their food situations. I think it's pretty dope. And, of course, I know we're all up against like just economical conditions, but I think it's important to learn. I think it's always important to learn new skills. So survival skills at its finest. I don't like I'm doing it, Wanda, but not in a 7-gallon grow bag. I have them in a 20-gallon grow bag, and I'm even questioning that. So I feel like 7 gallons would be too small for two. What are you putting in a 100-gallon grow bag? Oh, see, Broke gave you a good one too. Yeah, I just feel like that's a little bit much for like how big a Roma plant can get. I'll tell you my first experience with it. I planted, so had no idea what I was doing over the fall, or rather late summer last year. I just dropped like tomato seeds, and not really knowing that they, tend to thrive pretty easily. I had about, I want to say 10 Roma tomato plants in a 10-gallon bag, plus a few cherry tomato plants. I ended up, of course, having to cut like most of the plants out. But even having the one cherry tomato and the Roma didn't do well. So, and I'll give you a little update. So, I talked about doing direct sowing of tomatoes, kind of against all like, advisement. And I did them early March. We were still getting like cold weather. All of my plants that I started, compared to those two, those are the two strongest plants that I have. So I talked about like experimentation. I think experimentation is really important to see what's going to work and what's not. Because I think we always forget that, like, nature doesn't really need us. It's going to do what it's going to do, you know. Um, we're just here to help it along a little bit. Said not sure any suggestions, anyone for 100-gallon grow bag. I mean, maybe potatoes, sweet potatoes, things that like go really deep or need a lot of room. really large fruit trees. I was like, I can't see needing a 100-gallon bag for anything other than that. For one, that's a lot of soil. That's a lot of soil. I would never, like, this is me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the fact that you purchased a 100-gallon grow bag, but I just don't, like, I wouldn't purchase it unless I absolutely needed it. Like, if something said this needs to be grown in this kind of medium. And it just has a lot to do with the soil cost. Oh, you planted all your bell peppers out? I still need to get mine out. I'm so far behind. I haven't even started transitioning my peppers out. 2 Romas and 7-gallon. Yes, if not huge plants, so you have to feed a lot all season. Trying to be like broke over here and be done. Oh yeah, Rochester. Are y'all still getting snow? They said the weather in New York has been mild. Like my family, like my husband's family, it's been pretty mild up this, well, I guess on the East Coast per se. Yeah, but it's like, how do you move that around? Like I can see it, I can see doing that too, like the 100-gallon, if like maybe you just wanted to have like one like planting medium and not have like a bunch of stuff around either. I was like, how do you move that around? Like, what if you wanted to move it? She said it could still snow any day. I do not miss that. I'm telling you. 10 months of cold and 2 months of summer. For me, we have been high 70s with ridiculous humidity. Our real fields have been in the 80s. And the crazy thing is, like, it's supposed to rain. They say it's supposed to rain. Every time they say it's supposed to rain, we don't really get any. But after it rains, it's supposed to go down to the 40s in the nighttime for the next like few days. If that question was for me. 39 degrees here. Is that the daytime temp? Let's see. Your favorite person is on her outside privileges have been revoked. She bust through my screen yesterday and disappeared. Oh, okay. 100 gardens. I was asking if 39 was your daytime temperature. Yeah, it's not bad though. But that gap, right? I don't understand the gaps what happen between like the day and nighttime temperatures. Like I know 20 degrees, can be normal. But thank you, Jones. I was like, I know I'm about to wrap this up in a minute, y'all. But like the 40-degree drops are just like insane to me. Jeez. That's rough. And I was like, I did those things didn't phase me, those temperatures, right? Obviously, when I lived like in the north. But now, like after being in like this southern heat all the time, like the mildness, for me, 50 degrees is unbearable. It's just like I need my sweater, where's my scarf? What is going on? Why is it so cold? Drawing, quilting, gardening, communicating, definitely an art. Okay, we see you. 83. Uh, I want to say that sounds amazing, but I don't know. Georgia is like here too. Yeah, same. I definitely had some radishes bolt. Like the plants, they don't know what to do. I was like, my romaine is about to bolt. Um, I was like, I'm even afraid like the celery is gonna bolt because it's just been so up and down. I was like, I think I'm getting ready to pull like all the rest of my crops that have been in for a little bit because I just don't want to have them, go crazy. I was like, plus I can use the space. I was like, one of my next bed is like delayed, so I was like, I need to get these peppers in the ground and I have to put them somewhere. Mm. I hope the mustard though doesn't bolt. I just planted some new mustard and I'm using it as a trap crop for like the tomatoes. So I'm like hoping it hangs on for a little bit. I fully expected the romaine to like kind of stay through this, but I think it's just because of the age of the plant. So I'm probably gonna like replant those because they should be able to survive the summers. Have any of y'all ever dealt with like onion blight? Like I'm growing onions and my onions have like crazy blight. The bulbing onions. Like, is that something I should be worried about? Hmm. Yeah. Yay to seed sprouting, Betsy. I know that's exciting. Where it's just like you've been waiting so long, you just want something to come up to give you something to look forward to. Yeah, broke onion blight. I forgot the exact name for it, but I experienced it on my green onions first, which is something that happens when the plants have been in the ground a long time. But it's happening on the greens of my bulbing onions. So I don't know if it's just because like there's so many onions in the bed and like I had that net cover over it and they were like my fiberglass plastic pieces kept breaking. So the net was kind of touching the thing. It kind of lends to like this brownish or like silver greenish like streak on the onion. It's a metallic looking like streak. Yeah, I've not really seen anybody like talk about it much, but I was just curious and I haven't seen anybody really have it on their like bulbing onions, but it is something that happens. The plant doesn't have to be destroyed. You can't just eat that. You just wouldn't want to eat that part. I've definitely cut it off of like green onions and used it. I don't know how I feel about that, Betsy. Um, I do believe we need more nutritious foods in our schools for kids, but it seems like schools got a lot on their plate right now. They need to be focusing on the kids. Yeah, I'm experiencing a lot of stuff here, and that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't know. I'm learning quickly. I'll say that. with this climate, like the one of the most important things for me is making sure my plants have good airflow, because that's just how like wet it is all the time here. It's hot and wet, it's cold and wet. There's no break in it really. So it just creates other challenges. I think in one of my videos I had asked about something too, like on the snow peas, it was doing some like weird stuff. And I didn't get a response of what, if anybody knew what it was, but I couldn't find anything on it either. So I was like, okay, I'm chalking it up to maybe like the moisture, just creates this like thing in the plant. I did find some other thing, which it could be this too, now that I think about it, because I saw this on my collard greens, where it's like little bubbling that happens to the plant, but it's something called Amida. Is it Amida or edema? It's one of them. I was reading this like late last night, but it basically is kind of like a cell rupturing that happens from the plant taking up too much water because the water is available. So it creates like little bubbling it happens in brassicas. It happens in other plants too. It's not harmful, but it's definitely unsightly. You said, do I have a video on it? No. Well, on what? Are you talking about the onion blight? Yeah, and I'm not good with remembering like scientific names, so I definitely don't remember the scientific names. No, I don't have like a video on blight. I think it was one of my harvest videos. I was pulling out like some green onions, and then I talked about it because like I talked about it briefly because it was something like that was on the plant. Yeah, it looks like a little burn on the plant. So it'll come up in like this like little oval shape, and it takes on like a color. It looks brownish, but when you really look at it, it's kind of like a silvery green thing. It has this like metallic reflection. Maybe I'll post it on my community page. I'll go outside and take some pictures. But I was curious because I'm definitely experiencing it on my bulbing onions. And I was like, of the mind that I wasn't going to cut them back, because I know like some people will cut them, some people won't. And I was like, well, let me just see how they grow naturally. But then I was like, maybe if I cut them back, that'll solve the issue, or at least help it. I'm sure it won't solve it. I'll post it on the community page, analytic. Yeah, the soggy soil, which I'm good for. And it's like the thing is, I can't really tell like if the soil is saturated as low as I need it to be. And some of it could be the water just leaking out the side of the bed, and it might not be wet all the way down. So it's like if it's leaking out the side, the ground around it is still going to get muddy. But I was like, I just know that it's too much because, for one, the slugs are having a field day and I'm sloshing around, and I don't like that. Hey, Awanda, yes. Tomato plants are in the ground. Love it. It's exciting. I feel like that's like the first step. It's like once you get there, everybody's all right. This gives me hope. Now that means we're moving forward. What varieties did you plant? Oh, that might be a good use for it too. The 100-gallon. Like, are you growing? Did she leave? She left. I was gonna say if she was growing carrots, Because carrots need space, and it's almost impossible to not like overseed them. I don't use mulch in my beds. I'm a little hesitant on the mulch. I'm looking for something, but just with some of the things that I've seen, as far as like people introducing like bugs and like weeds and other stuff, I'm a little nervous. So I know that I want to get like natural hardwood chips, but I need a reputable source to make sure I'm not bringing anything that I can't live with in my backyard. Moisture on the foliage. I don't really have issues with moisture on the foliage. Well, no, that's not true. Because in the morning, like it'd be 100% humidity, so everything be wet. But I guess as far as like worrying about it affecting the plants throughout the day, it gets so hot here. Like usually by I would say like 10, 11 o'clock, if the plants are not watered, they'll be wilting. It's not splashing. It's the uptake, the plant like uptaking the water just because there's so much water to uptake, and then it causes like this rupturing in the cells. Is it really? I mean, lives usually are a little delayed. I don't know how far behind though, Betsy. So like I don't have a way to tell that. Beefsteak, Roma, yellow pear, brandy wine, sun sugar. Somebody was just talking about sun sugars today. I think I was watching Backyard Farmer Pat. She says she loves those. Beefsteak, Roma. Roma, I'm growing. I'm not growing like regular beefsteak tomatoes, but I do have a couple of I guess like heirloom varieties. I'm doing Brandywine yellow, Chef's Choice pink. But I'm learning a lot, so y'all made me do it. Watermelon beefsteak tomatoes. What are those? Never heard of it. What's that? Do share, do share. I've heard quite a bit about the yellow pear too. I was like, maybe that can be a next future. We waiting for the scoop from Broke. What are watermelon beefsteak tomatoes? So for those of y'all in like climates like mine, um, how do you guys do with like the heirlooms? When do they start kind of checking out? Mm. Big tomato variety, haven't tasted yet. Hmm. Where did you find them? Bessie, you said you can stay here until the third week of May at least. Your last frost date is the second week of May. Baker Creek. I should have known. I haven't purchased any seeds from them yet. I plan to though. They have this. Oh my goodness! It was like this like white ivory watermelon. The flesh was white. It just looked so pretty. I want to try that. I'm like into just like pretty colors. Oh, okay. It can still snow there. Whew. I mean, I know we all can't live in like temperate climates, but I was like, I don't know how y'all do it. Your mine is silver cream. Mine just sprouted. Oh, Oh, I'm jealous. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really into like colors like that. Like I'm growing a snow white bell pepper. So I'm like so looking forward to seeing those in the garden, and the purple ones. Yamada silver cream. It sounds like that might have been it. Yeah. Let us know how that one tastes, because it looked so like just something you would want to have. But I'm about to wrap this up, y'all, because we've been on here for 2 hours. I said at the beginning I was not keeping them for 2 hours. I so appreciate y'all for coming on, and for everybody that's been on like since we started, because that is a huge commitment out of your day. And I appreciate it for making my first live not a lonely one. Did you put a video out on that, broke? I would have loved to have seen that. You might have soul cream. Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to fix it, but I like every live I've been on, I think there's always like some delay that probably has nothing to do with any of us and everything to do with YouTube server. But yes, you did, and I'm so appreciative. But I appreciate y'all. Have a good Friday. Happy Good Friday. And if you celebrate Easter, happy Easter. Okay, so maybe I did see that video. I didn't know that you were planting that particular watermelon, but I know I saw when you did the like melons and the zucchini. But I'm thinking about doing this once a month. So I don't know. Let me know if y'all like leave me a comment or something. Let me know if you think like that's a good idea. I don't want to overdo it because I know that these things can get pretty lengthy and we're all trying to, create engagement. Um, but I'm thinking like first Fridays once a month. Oh, my name is Ebony. It's in my what do you call that? The channel description page. Ebony. Thank you, Nikki. Oh wow, Betsy. I'm not sure what's happening. But I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. Let's communicate in the comments if we need to. Don't forget about the seed share and 500 subbies. Hi, Cece. I was like, girl, we can ready to log off. Everybody have a happy Easter and a wonderful Good Friday.